to welcome all of you here tonight. We are so glad to see each one of you. And at this time, I would like for Dr. Miller, our superintendent, to do a roll call, please.
Good evening, board members.
Good evening.
Miss Frances Boomer.
Here.
Thank you. Miss Naomi Clark.
Present.
Mr. Victor Dove.
Here.
Mr. Carl Ipock.
Present.
Mr. Brent Manning.
Here.
Miss Kelly Muse. Miss Kimberly Smith.
Here.
Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. At this time, I need to ask the board, are there any amendments to the board's agenda for tonight?
Yes, Chairman Moore, I'd ask that we add an item to review the terms of the superintendent's contract under the HR report.
I need to get a motion to have that added to the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it has been moved and second that we add the superintendent contract to the agenda for tonight. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. We will do that tonight. At this time, we will review Craven County Schools' vision, mission, and core values. Our vision, the school vision, we envision a public education system that challenges all students as learners and prepares them to imagine and create a successful life, values educators and empowers them to inspire and spark innovation in every student, leads in education and community engagement, and invites our students, their families, and all members of the community to work together to support public education to the benefit of our students, our community, our nation, and our world. Our school's mission, together with our families and community, Craven County Schools will educate all learners to personal, professional, and civic success through challenging and personalized instruction. Our core values, our system perspective, visionary leadership, student-centered excellence, organization, learning, and agility, valuing people, focus on success, managing for innovation, management by fact, societal responsibility, delivering value and results, and last, ethics and transparency. And at this time, I call on our Vice Chairman, Naomi Clark, to review the ground rules, the bin item process, and the safety procedure in the event of an emergency with the attendees of the Board of Education meeting tonight.
Thank you, Madam Chair. With regard to meeting ground rules, post and approve the agenda, listen as an ally, one person speaks at a time, respect each other, no sidebars, everyone participates, stay on task, start and stop on time, schedule appropriate breaks, evaluate at end of each meeting, cell phones on vibrate or on silent. With regard to bin items, board members, if you have an item that's not on the agenda, then you are directed to post it on the board over there listed as bin. With regard to emergency procedure, in the event of a fire emergency, we'll split the room in half. The right side of the room will exit out of the door to my left of the room, will exit out of the doors to my right. Those moving to my right will go out into the parking lot towards the bagel shop. Those moving out to my left will go out into the parking lot towards Badcock Furniture and get as far away from the building until the fire department comes and clears the building. Tornado. In the event of a tornado, all of us will move out of the same doors we moved out of for the fire drill. However, we will go into the hallway behind us. We will crouch on the ground against the wall and cover our heads until the storm passes or the building is cleared. We have changed our processes for an intruder to more reflect what we would encounter in a real emergency. First, if we have warning, we will alert each other, which means we will make it known by yelling or telling the building that there is an intruder. We will lock down if the intruder is not in the room. This means we will do all we can to lock doors and secure ourselves in this room and get out of the sight of windows. We'll use all communication devices to inform others of what is going on, and anyone who is able will contact 911. We will counter if someone comes into this room. We'll use all of the objects available to us to try to distract anyone who will come in here to do harm, and those who can will evacuate to get to safety as quickly as possible. In the event of a lockdown, during a board meeting, the following individuals would have the outlined responsibility. Kim Smith would lock the 2 doors nearest to her seat. Mr. Lee would lock down the doors nearest Human Resources. Stephen Severa would lock the door nearest Finance, and Heather Nelder will call 911. Madam Chair, that is all I have.
Thank you. At this time, we will take this opportunity to recognize our elected officials, our dignitaries, and leaders present in the audience tonight. I do recognize Chairman Jason Jones. Stand up, Mr. Jones, so we all can see you, and our county commissioner. Thank you for coming tonight. Are there any other elected officials present tonight that I do not see? Okay. And at this time, I'd like to recognize our Principal of the Year, Stacy Freebull, Havelock High School. Craven County Schools Teacher of the Year, Laura Wilson, Roger Bell, New Tech Academy. She's right there. Our Military Liaison, Mrs. Leafa Palmer. Craven County Schools Military Liaison Counselor, Mrs. Valerie Nasser. Partners in Education, Executive Director, Ms. Darlene Brown. I know I got right over there. I'd like for all our principals to please stand tonight, and all our teachers and other staff members to please stand. Wow. Thank all of you for coming. Do we have any retired educators with us tonight? Would you please stand? All right. All right. We would like to welcome all of you. And at this time, we call upon our board attorney, Brian Gaucho, to offer an invocation for the meeting tonight.
Board members, if you'll please pray with me. Creator of all, at this time of confronting hate and persecution with courage, pride, and a sense of humor, help us find that laughter and that love for ourselves and one another, even when the world seems to be crashing down around us. When the world is upside down, teach us how to cartwheel, audaciously adapting and returning rooted, always back to who we truly are. May our bold open-heartedness bring forth a world of peace, of righteousness, and of jubilation for our families, for our communities, for our nation, and for all who dwell on earth. We know that every soul deserves peace. We know that every soul deserves celebration. May we be your vessels to bring that about quickly and in our day. And let us say, Amen.
Amen.
Amen. At this time, and I'd like for these young people to please forgive me when I mispronounce your name. At this time, we are very fortunate to have our Early College East tonight, and they will lead us with the Pledge of Allegiance. We have Carl Daniels, Madison, Kazmierak, Elena Lewinsky. Okay. Y'all heard what she said? Jada Moore, James Monchel. That's it. That's our young man right there. Ariana Nugent Freeman. Will you please stand along with these young people and let us do the Pledge of Allegiance together?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, Amen.
Thank you. That same young people are going to do our character word for tonight and our core value for August. We turn it over to you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name's Kara. In case you thought I was Alana, I'm not. I went to North Carolina Governor's School East this summer for social science, which was an amazing experience. And so at Governor's School, we had 3 different areas. Your area 1 was that selected area that you started at. So I started with social science every morning at 9 a.m., and that was the start of my day. And so Area 1 taught me a lot about the world, and not just what was happening in North Carolina, but in the country as well as what was happening all around the world. And here's our presentation. So early college told me to apply, and I applied thinking I wouldn't get in. I got in. I was so excited. So I spent a month at Meredith College, which was Governor's School East. And so Area 2 was about epistemology and all about challenging your thoughts. So we spent the whole month challenging what we were thinking about the world and how the world worked. So we looked at art pieces, we looked at different phrases. We had to define words how we thought they were. And it wasn't the textbook definition, but it was a definition that we came up with that really aligned with what other people thought may be the definition. And everybody has a different definition for every word, and I thought that was so interesting to learn about. And Area 3 was all about, give me a minute. Area 3 was all about yourself. So it was a morality class, that's what they called it. And so I really loved that. I learned more about myself and who I am as a person, and I felt as though it was a great opportunity. I was so excited to go. I wouldn't trade my experience for the world, and I really learned. See, there's some pictures in the Meredith College picture. That's me in front of the big sign. So Alana was in natural science, and we were actually at the same campus. So I saw her pretty much every day, but I also got to meet hundreds of students from North Carolina, some of the top students in the state. And it was so amazing to meet everyone and just learn from them, because you learn something new every day. Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Madison, and I was a freshman this summer, and I got invited to a co-cooperative council camp, which basically was a week-long camp in Laurel Hill, North Carolina, and it was all about co-op jobs, like banking and line work. And right there is me trying on big gloves from the linemen because they brought in some tiny line work. But that wasn't all we did, was just learn about those jobs. We also did some of our own problem solving and problem making. We got tasked with an assignment, which was to figure out how to get internet to the rural parts of North Carolina, the areas that can't get them. So what we did is we all were in different groups, and we came up with solutions, and we came up with slogans and t-shirts, and whoever's was the best got the t-shirt design. My team didn't win, sadly. But I did get the other people's t-shirt design. It actually came in yesterday. It was on this camp. It was beautiful. The lake was amazing. It was beautiful. That's the lake right there. But I wouldn't trade it for anything else. It was definitely a good learning experience, because I get to learn about line work and, banking and stuff. Maybe that's something I want to do. But it was a fun time. And
Great.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm James. I was able to attend the National Student Leadership Conference this summer. I was accepted into the International Law Intensive Program, which consisted of a total of 65 children, all from all across the world. We had 2 from Brazil, 3 from China, 2 from Russia, a few from Canada, and just all over. And what we did is we had 2 separate parts, where first one is we learned more about law and classroom etiquette and different tools that we could use to improve our life and our skills within the classroom. And then the second part was we learned about leadership, and we learned how to basically, in other words, take control of a group of people, whether that be selected people or randomized individuals, and be able to create a team or work together or just be a leader in any sense that comes at us. So we did 2 different things involving the law part. We did mock trial and moot court. Mock trial is based off a civil or criminal court. It's basically just a fake court trial, to be honest. And then the second part was the moot court, which is a fake Supreme Court decision and kind of going on of a court case. And then we also worked inside some different offices. So I worked inside the Public Defender's Office of Baltimore, because we were housed on Georgetown University. And other students worked with the DEA. One group got work with the Supreme Court. Mad. But overall, it was a great time. Down in the bottom right corner is me with my team. I'm from New Bern, North Carolina. The male next to me is Caleb Nelson. He lives in Georgia. Next is Megan Noon. She lives in Pennsylvania. And then there's Russia Garcia, who lives in Brazil. So very great experience. I had a wonderful time working with all these people. We ended up becoming one of the, we were the top attorney team. And then I ended up receiving the honor of having the position of top attorney. And then the man above the group picture is Mr. Patel. He was our leadership leader. It sounds weird, but it's what he was. He was a man who survived the Rwandan genocide, so we were able to learn a lot about his culture and what he went through and how he overcame that and basically was able to express himself and how he became into the position he was, and how we learned more about ourselves to realize that none of us are the perfect leader, but as long as we can recognize that fact, we can all work together and then become a leader. We toured all the sites. Down at the very bottom is my whole group. It was a total of 12 of us within that picture. There's 2 kids from Canada, 2 from Brazil, 1 from Russia, and the other one's from New Zealand, which I thought was fake, but here we are. But overall, just a great opportunity. We got plenty of lectures from real-life college professors. And then we also got to talk to different people from different programs. So like I said, we got to talk to some people, some of the lawyers from the DEA, and we got to talk to one of the lawyers involved with, I might have had this wrong, but USLC, and what all they did. It was a really cool experience. Learned so much about myself. I do not want to do family law. And just overall, just a great time and so much for me to learn and so much for me to experience within this time period. Yeah.
Wonderful. Great. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Miller. I think at this time we need to kind of switch around a little bit and get the human resource report approved so that we can do our
Make some
recognition.
announcements.
All right. So, Dr. Boone, we're ready for your report, please.
Good evening, everyone, board, stakeholders. Prior to the meeting, I provided everyone with a copy of Human Resources Report 2A and a 2B. I would like the board to review, if you haven't already, copies of Human Resources Report 2A and 2B, and make a motion for, hopefully, for approval.
I move we approve Human Resource Division Report 2A and Addendum 2B.
Second.
It has been moved and second that we approve the human resource report of 2A and 2B. Are you ready for the question? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, human resource report is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, can I make some announcements?
You can.
I'm
Sure
happy
can.
I'm happy to announce some new employees the board just approved. If you will stand when I announce your name, these folks joining our family were either approved last month or you just approved then. So first, I'm happy to welcome Dr. Marlo Artis, principal of Craven Early College High School. Miss Sarah Emmerich, Director of Digital Blended Learning. Miss Mickey Warren, Principal, Craven Virtual Academy. And you'll see Mr. Lee's really smiling on this next one. Mr. Jerome Williams, Director of Facilities. We're also happy to announce a couple of assistant principals joining us. Mr. Cortez Bryant will be the assistant principal of West Craven Middle School. And Miss Jackie Pohl, assistant principal of James W. Smith Elementary School. Make sure I didn't miss anyone. If you're here and I didn't call your name, I don't want to miss a soul because you are each important to us. I'm very excited. We have, who did I miss?
Dr. Boone stood up.
Dr. Boone, you're not new. I told her she can't use that excuse anymore. I'm new to this. I am very excited about the leaders, both within our district and joining our district. We're going to do great things together. I'm so happy they chose Craven County Schools, and I appreciate them selecting us, and I will do my best to support them in their work.
And on behalf of the board, we say welcome. You have chosen a wonderful system to become a part of, and we will do all that we can to make you feel at home, make you feel like a part of the family. And I'm sure that your principals and everybody at the school will make you feel welcome. So once again, and at the central office level. So once again, thank you for choosing us to help us through this journey. All right, anybody, any other board member would like to say anything? Okay. Our staff recognitions. You take this is yours, right?
The first one.
Victor, will you pass that back down to us, please? We got the essential piece, the red folder.
The write-up for it.
We got it mixed up.
I have mine.
The folder. No, you didn't. It wasn't you. It wasn't you this time. And at this time, Ms. Clark would do our essential piece.
Give it.
You want him to give it? Well, y'all didn't look like really good.
Sorry. The most essential piece in federal programs is Mrs. Katie Bell. Mrs. Bell, are you here? Yes, the bag goes Mrs. Bell has been working in federal programs for almost 5 years and is a pleasure to work with. Colleagues of Mrs. Bell would describe her as efficient, friendly, and compliance-driven. She always has a positive attitude and completes all assigned tasks in a quick and timely manner. Mrs. Bell ensures that Craven County Schools has the resources needed to meet the needs of all of our students and teachers. Thank you, Mrs. Katie Bell, for all that you do each day for everyone in our school system. No.
You want me to go?
Yes.
School nutrition, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I'd like to ask Francis Riggs, Anthony Reed, Tara Britt, Christine McMahon, and Lauren Wayan to come on up front before I start reading. And if Jenna Gartner and Victoria Reslio from Spectrum News are here, if they could come up as well. And then I'll read you the celebration, but I like for you guys to stare at them while I read it. So come on up first. Great. The School Nutrition Association of North Carolina, SNA-NC, held its annual conference June 20th through the 23rd at the Corey Convention Center in Greensboro, North Carolina. The goal of the conference was to better equip school nutrition professionals to meet the guidelines to serve children upon returning to school in the fall. Several awards were received by our school nutrition staff at the conference. Lauren Wayan received the Gary W. Gay Award of Excellence. She was praised by the North Carolina Department of Agriculture for raising the bar concerning customer service by being innovative, dedicated, and never giving up. And we know that, don't we? They highlighted the food show she held last fall that allowed her team to find out firsthand what her customers wanted in her breakfast and lunch program, as well as the Farm to School Week held in the spring. Our school nutrition staff also received several culinary arts awards. Frances Riggs received third place culinary arts decorated cakes. Anthony Reed, that would be great. Do you have it up there? Okay, if y'all could click on that, I don't need it. I've got my sheet, so you can move the screen. That's right. Okay. So Anthony Reed got third place culinary arts commodity fruit. Tara Britt, third place culinary arts farm to school vegetable. I'm so glad you made us stop to put those pictures up. Thank you. Christine McMahon, first place culinary arts sandwich or wrap plate. First place culinary arts whole grain side dish. And best of show whole grain side dish. Jenna Gardner and Victoria Reslio from Spectrum News won the Lunch Bell Award for their outstanding features of the Craven County School Nutrition Program. Congratulations again to our school nutrition team, which we think is the best anywhere, for winning these awards at the state conference.
Next person.
Victor, it's coming.
As we all know, New Bern High School was an avid national demonstration school, and only a handful of schools around the world are offering their students this type of education that the teachers are providing at New Bern High School. A team representing advancement via the Individual Determination awarded the National Demonstration School status to New Bern High School on May 19th, 2022. Now what this means is that New Bern High School will serve as an Avid Learning Center so other schools can visit them to see how the Avid program is implemented. We will show them how it's done. Avid provides classroom activities, teaching practices, and academic behaviors that can be incorporated into any classroom to improve engagement and success for all students to become more college and career ready. New Bern High School is one of 217 schools recognized by Avid as a national demonstration school. The Bears have been recognized as a school-wide site of distinction since 2018, meaning this community school holds the top two honors offered by Avid Center. Avid serves over 2.2 million students and is roughly 8,000 schools in 49 states and 16 countries. New Bern High standing in the top 3% of all Avid schools worldwide. They joined the international family as one of the only 7 national demonstration schools for Avid in North Carolina. It's the largest of the 3 high schools with that designation in North Carolina. So right now we would like to take time to congratulate New Bern High School on this and their principal for this very special honor and recognition. Can I just add something? I want to make sure you all heard me say that Avid serves 2.2 million students, and New Bern High was chosen to be a demonstration school. Go Bears.
Shouldn't we do it? Okay. Next, I'm going to call Miss Laura Wilson up so we can all stare at her and celebrate her as well. Ms. Laura Wilson is a teacher at Roger Bell New Tech Academy. She's been selected as the 2022-23 Teacher of the Year for Craven County Schools. Let's give her a round of applause. In her role as Teacher of the Year, she will serve as a local advisor to the Board of Education and will represent Craven County Schools in local, regional, and state events. Ms. Wilson was one of 4 finalists that interviewed with a local selection committee on April 26th. Ms. Wilson is currently a 4th grade teacher and a 13-year veteran with Craven County Schools. She has previously taught at James W. Smith and Trent Park Elementary Schools. Ms. Wilson holds a North Carolina educator's license with endorsements in elementary education K-6 and reading K-12. She earned her bachelor's degree in elementary education from East Carolina University in 2008. Since Ms. Wilson became a teacher at Roger Bell New Tech Academy, she's gone above and beyond to tap into students' interest. Her work over the course of her career is a strong reminder of both the power of an individual educator to change lives and the importance of systemic changes to improve education for all students. During the selection process, Laura Wilson stated, "A beloved teacher once told me along my journey that teaching is the profession that creates all others." When asked about her feelings and beliefs about teaching, Ms. Wilson stated, "I create authentic, hands-on learning activities that are relevant to the students and their interest. I believe that teaching is truly a privilege. Knowing that parents trust me to nurture and grow their children is a huge responsibility. Our kids are amazing." And so are our teachers, as if you stick around for our business, you're going to see when you get to see a Teacher of the Year in action. Beyond helping students achieve academic success, Ms. Wilson said, "My role as a classroom teacher goes beyond the current school year. My students will gain skills and strategies to be successful in the next grade level, grade span, after graduation, and in their future career choices." We are honored to have Ms. Laura Wilson of Roger Bell New Tech Academy serve as the 2022-23 Craven County Schools Teacher of the Year. Well, I was waiting for it.
And her family, they did say, and she drives a car, a new car this year, so you're happy with that. That's one of the perks of doing that. Thank you. Thank you.
Community recognition. Next, we want to recognize our DARE program and its community partners. Tonight, we recognize the Craven County ABC Board for their support of the DARE program, funding in our schools with a grant award of $15,000 for the 22-23 school year to Partners in Education. We are also recognizing the Sheriff's Office and our DARE officers for deploying this program. The 2022-23 school year is our second year of implementing the DARE program through a partnership with the ABC Board, PI, Craven County Schools, and the Sheriff's Office. In this second year, with our increased funding from ABC of $10,000 to $15,000, we are expanding the program from 10 to all 15 of our elementary schools. We all agree there is a need in our schools to address drug and alcohol abuse. The DARE curriculum emphasizes teaching detailed information about specific drugs and their adverse effects based on prevention science. In addition, our DARE officers are trained to teach the DARE curriculum, thereby putting a local human face on drug prevention in schools. These DARE officers are fantastic in doing their jobs in our schools and making a difference in the lives of our students every day. The DARE program highlights interaction with the DARE officers and emphasis on facilitation rather than a static presentation model. Students spend most class time working in a cooperative learning group guided by the DARE officer as they apply decision-making model to develop their own unique ways of positively addressing high-risk situations in their lives. Thank you to the Craven County ABC Board for funding the DARE grant, and Chairman Shagnon, Sheriff Hughes, and our DARE officers for supporting our vision for this program.
Glad you're here.
Good to see you. Thank you.
Okay.
I would just like the board to know, right here with Craven County Sheriff's Office, we actually implemented a fundraiser this year, the Dare to Slime event. Now, this Dare to Slime event was born here in Craven County by the DARE unit. It has actually gone to the DARE, North Carolina DARE Conference, and is probably going to be picked up across North Carolina as a fundraiser. Not only that, we were actually featured on DARE America Facebook and DARE International Facebook, right here in Craven County. With that, we have a very special gift for Miss Darlene Brown. Miss Darlene Brown has been instrumental in the DARE unit for us and working with PI. And this is a gift from the Sheriff's Office to Miss Darlene Brown.
It's heavy, huh?
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to work with our DARE officers. I think what I like about this program is it allows them to establish a rapport and relationship with the students, and that is where it all begins. Thank you.
Thank you.
I will note that she's doing a shameless plug for Stuff the Bus. There was no accident, she has the shirt on, so certainly we invite everyone to come out and help us collect school supplies for our students. Last year it was over $80,000 worth of school supplies in one day that people are already bringing in. She actually had Bust the Bus out here. If you watch, there's so many school supplies, it actually broke open the box. So we appreciate all she does for us each and every day in Craven County.
When is it? When's it happen?
That's Staples. I'll be there. I'll look for you.
Jaden Moore. James Munkle, and Adriana Nugent Freeman. All of these are students from Early College East.
We're going to take a 10 minutes break just in case some of the young people want to go home and whatever they would like to do tonight. But we would like to thank you all again for coming. Y'all did a great, always good seeing you, Mr. Sonny. You always bring sunshine every time you come. I know you did. And I appreciate that.
10 minutes?
Yeah, 10 minutes, 10 minutes break. break. And at this time, we ask Chairman Naomi Clark to provide a summary of the information presentation shared at the August 16, 2022 board session that began at 8:30.
Thank you. The board work session, Madam Chair, is available on YouTube, and the agenda is available on cravenk12.org under About Us and Board of Education. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. At this time, we call on Mr. Mike Swain to present the policy 6140 student wellness. But Dr. Miller has.
I'm actually going to present this, and
All right.
and I'm going to ask our Teacher of the Year, Laura Wilson, to come and stand with me. Earlier this week, we talked about the student wellness policy, and it brought some other things in view that we needed to discuss, that certainly student wellness is important, but safety is paramount during these times. So trying to find that balance of how we keep our schools and classrooms and staff and students safe, along with supporting our educators. This is a great example of a continuous improvement in seeking feedback from stakeholders. So we reached out to our Teacher Advisory Council, which we started last year, and the two co-chairs reached out to teachers to get input regarding staff being allowed to order food and have it delivered to school, and here are the results. There were about 60 responses. She reached out to the Teacher Advisory Council member at each school and asked them to reach out to their colleagues. So I'm going to let Laura talk to you a little bit about the process, because I certainly want the teachers and staff to see this is an opportunity for them to use their voice, and it actually ended up in a change in my recommendation for the policy.
Thank you, guys. So Tuesday, after our board work session, I was tasked with getting input from our teachers, and I first of all would like to give them, if they are listening, a major shout out, because not only on their optional work days did they provide very quick and timely responses, but also very thoughtful responses, and I'm very grateful for that. I actually have about 15 or 16 other replies from one of our high schools. So we actually got about 75 plus responses in a matter of maybe 2 days. And it was very eye-opening. Safety is their number one concern, as always. But they were also very, very clear on their fear of this hurting staff morale. There are schools, and I'm so thankful for their feedback and their ability to reach out, that are in very rural places. If you are familiar with the west end of Craven County, there's not a lot out there in terms of fast food. So this was, I don't want to say a non-issue, but if you're lucky to get cell phone signal out there to order something, it would take a very long time. And some of their concerns, Panera Bread, one of our community partners, this year said that they would actually provide food for them once a week, and they would deliver it all the way to that school. And so they fought very hard, and I had a lot of feedback from that area asking, please, 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 if we can keep this, please keep this. And I think that it is important to note that safety, while it is a major concern, Mr. Manning, I know you mentioned at the work session, another concern is making sure that we are staffed and we have our teachers here, because part of keeping our students safe is making sure that we have a teacher in that classroom. And I think that this revision to that policy speaks to what Craven County teachers have asked for. And I'm very, very thankful that our superintendent listened to that and that our board is listening to that. And we say it a lot. We posted a lot on Facebook about CCS United. But today, over the last 2 days, has been that coming to fruition, where our teachers, our board, our superintendent, we are all working very hard and together to make sure that everyone is heard. So thank you, teachers. Thank you, board. Thank you, superintendent.
Thank you.
So with that, the recommendation, of course, because of state requirements, students are not allowed to order food on campus during the instructional day. But the second paragraph regarding staff now reads, each principal shall develop a process for food deliveries for staff that accounts for the safety of all. The process shall include, but not be limited to, the delivery person not entering the building. Principals will be given reasonable latitude to create avenues for staff to receive food deliveries at school for activities such as staff meetings or during non-instructional hours. So basically what this is saying is because the teachers reached out, and I just want to thank them personally. We have to hear your voice and know your concerns for us to act. And I hear folks saying sometimes, well, we don't reach out because we don't think folks are listening. We are listening. We want to hear your voice, and that directs us to make change when we can. So my recommendation tonight, since school is starting soon, and we need to let parents and staff and principals know so they can develop processes, that the board approve this policy allowing no outside meal deliveries for students, but for staff, that the principals will develop a process where deliveries can occur, but that we won't have multiple people every day coming in and out of our schools. There are lots of creative ways, such as a table that's out front or a time that the food's delivered. I know some schools have a particular day and they pick a place and everyone orders from the same place, so there's one delivery. I don't want to get into the weeds with the schools. I want them to develop what their staff needs and wants to make them feel valued and heard, and so that they can get a good meal. And but I do have to shout out, our cafeteria provides great meals as well. But if they choose to have another option, particularly on staff development days or days when students aren't in the building, certainly we want that time for our staff to be able to work together and to enjoy working together and have a meal together. So my recommendation is we adopt that policy, and I will ask the principals to submit a process in writing to Mr. Lee regarding their process to ensure the safety of our students and staff during the instructional day. And I know there's probably questions, so we will take those.
I, for one, can be in total, for one, because I'm only one, can be in total agreement with the statement here, but as I read it, it leads me to ask the question, are teachers only now ordering takeout for activities such as staff meetings and non-instructional hours? Aren't they ordering food kind of for lunch now?
They can order food for lunch.
This policy cuts that out?
Now, each principal will develop a process for food deliveries that accounts for the safety of all. What the second part is saying, like, if you want to bring pizza or whatever on a staff development day, and they order 20 pizzas, that the delivery person, with the approval of the principal, can bring the pizzas in the school. What we don't want happening is 100 people ordering from 100 different places, coming and going. So on a regular instructional day, safety is first, good quality instruction is our second priority. So we would ask that there's a process, whether it be a table out in front of the school, whatever the principals develop that works for them, but we don't have multiple people trying to buzz and come in and out of the school. So they can order on any day, as long as there's a process established whether folks delivering the meal are not coming in and out of the building.
So as they've been doing all last year, they can continue to do, they just have to receive it outside the school?
For staff, that is
staff
correct.
only, right.
Students are not allowed to order.
Okay.
That actually is in the
I just want to make
policy.
sure they
That they
still
hear
have it
that.
their
Yes,
way.
you can
Yeah.
order your meals, yes, but they can't come into the school to deliver. And the principal will work with staff, whether it's staff go out and pick up their meal, because I believe you get a notification your food's arriving, whether it's a drop-off spot on the outside of the door. I want principals to be able to have the authority to, make what works for their staff.
Mr. Gatchell?
So I just wanted to be clear, Mr. Dove, the way you articulated it right there is not necessarily how it will work, right? So essentially, if the board approves this recommendation, each principal will be tasked with a set of standards that the superintendent has articulated. It is very likely that will differ from school to school to fit the particular needs of that locale. So in essence, the superintendent is asking you to delegate to the individual principals how this will actually work, okay? The good news about that is you're able to customize that from school to school. The harder part of that is you cannot articulate today what the rule is going to be because the principals have not set up the standard and run it by Dr. Miller to make sure it's satisfied her requirements. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, I understand. My whole thing was just, I know if it's been going on and they've been satisfied receiving their meals from outside, as I read this, it says Let me start where I want to be. Create avenues for staff to receive food deliveries at the school for activities such as staff meetings or during non-instructional hours, which seems like it limits them from how they're doing it now.
Well, it absolutely limits them from how they're doing it now, because the principal may say, we're not doing it that way anymore.
Right, but not, let me clarify, make sure I understand, because non-instructional just means they're not supervising students then. It could be their planning period and non-instructional for that teacher.
Right.
Make sure I'm on the same. Yeah.
That broadens my horizon
Yeah.
of
Right.
how I was seeing.
And I do want to publicly make this clear, that does not mean teachers would be able to order for students and have that delivered for students, because that would cause us issues with our school nutrition program.
I guess the place where I was, I did receive, we always say we receive calls. Well, I did receive calls from teachers, and they were upset about what was about to happen. And when they explained it to me, it made sense. So I know that safety is the most important thing, but I'm like, it makes sense. How can we keep them happy? And delivering outside of school, not entering, is fine with me. I just wanted I was hoping that it could remain the same, just not allow them to come into school for the safety of the children.
And
so
that
whenever
is-
they choose to order, I don't know how they're ordering now, but I would hate for it to be altered or they be restricted when we change it. Because then again, what you just said, the morale is still gonna go down because they don't have it their way, so to speak. I wanted to add the safety, but still let them have it their way.
Yeah,
I have a clarifying question.
yeah, the only difference is the delivery person would not be entering the
Entering
school.
school, and that's what.
What they do with that, whether the teacher walks out, whether the office staff, that needs to be up to the individual principal, because what's going to work at James Smith, a more rural school that is
Right.
limited on delivery
I get it.
times and things of that nature, is very different from an in-town school that, has multiple options for delivery.
I think what I'm hearing you say, just to make sure, is that with line 12, the food deliveries, the principal will develop a process that will let the teachers and staff know what that process is, but that would still include that teachers would be able to order a meal and eat it during their lunchtime, even
Right.
if their lunchtime is with children in the cafeteria.
That's that's non-instructional hours. When they're eating
Okay.
lunch, that's not an instructional time.
Okay, yes, you're right.
What
Okay.
we don't want is if the delivery, someone has to pick it up, sometimes, it takes a little bit longer. We don't want the lunchtime to be over and folks extending lunchtime and having snacks and pizza during instructional time. We need to use every instructional minute we can to provide instruction to our students. So non-instructional times such as lunch, your planning period, those times, and that would be up to the principal how to establish that process, whether it be the teacher walks out and picks it up, whether there's a drop-off point. The thing the superintendent is going to say is the drivers can't be entering the school.
Right, and I agree with you.
Okay.
It sounds good, because I think the whole issue was the safety part of it. And since you all, and I appreciate you all, the committee coming together to come up with a workable plan, because we do believe that the teacher needs some little stuff, and I had talked with, I was impressed with Ms. Preble said during the meeting, and I thought about it after we had a discussion. I talked to several principals myself yesterday, and what they shared their concerns about the teachers. And I said, okay. And when I talked to Dr. Miller before the meeting started, she pretty much had already, we had pretty much was saying the same thing. My concern was the safety part.
Right.
And so, because it was not safe for the kids to have someone coming in. And like I said, how is it going to be safe for teachers to get their delivery with the same people? But now, because of the way that they're going to do it, nobody would ever enter the building anyway. So I think it's wonderful. I'm glad that you all did that, and I think it's wonderful. And so I guess now, Mr. IPod, did you have something?
I did. I have a clarification question. For students, during the instructional day, of course, this covers that. After-school activities, students will still be allowed to order if
It doesn't violate school nutrition standards after the last student is served, but there's still instruction going on. For example, an athlete, and they want to get some, that would not violate this policy, because they won't be entering the building, and they will be supervised by adults. This is to protect instructional time and to follow school nutritional standards.
Okay. Any more, Mr. Manning?
Yeah, I just want to say this is why we are better together. Thank y'all for working and bringing this back. Thank Ms. Smith as well in advocating that teacher. I will be honest, somehow when I first originally reviewed the work agenda, somehow I missed that. So when I got in here and I was reading it, I didn't have time to process it. And so as processing it and then hearing the feedback, I'm just thankful. So thank you.
All right. Are there any more discussions about this? If not, we need to get a motion to approve the proposed.
Second.
It has been moved and second that we will approve Dr. Miller's plan of action for our teachers to receive lunches at school.
And it's actually policy 6140, the entire policy you would be approved.
Just what she said.
Oh, I did have one more thing. Ms. Whalen also let us know that the lunch bar, the salad bars are coming back.
And that's great.
We had that absence during the COVID years, and so that'll be another avenue that hasn't been there recently.
Absolutely.
So.
That's great. Are you ready to vote? Do we need a roll call vote, or are we okay? All right. Thumbs up to it. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the hard work. At this time, we need a motion to approve the July 19th, 2022 work session minutes.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and second that we approve the July 19th, 2022 work session minutes. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next, we need a motion to approve the July 19th, 2022 and July 19th, 2022 number 2 closed session meeting.
I so moved.
Second.
All right, been moving second that we approve the July 19th, 2022 and number 2 closed session minutes. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
And at this time, I need to know if there is anything that needs to be moved from the consent agenda.
Chairman, remember, I'd asked that, and I asked in advance, so I'm not surprising anybody. I was asking if item 2 under finance, we could pull just for clarification from Ms. Altman, because we have new board members, we have a lot of people attending our meetings regularly, and if you don't know what you're looking at with Fund 8, like we're all accustomed to, you would look at it and might not understand what that is, what's happening with that. So I just think it would be beneficial for everybody for her to take a few minutes, just a couple minutes to explain that. And then it's fine to go back on and approve the consent agenda.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, so Fund 8 is our other restricted fund. The majority of the money that goes into this fund comes from grant funds like the refugee grant, Bosch grants that we've received in the past, or it also is where we park money for our NC pre-K programs. So those funding sources all have very specific purposes. We do have a small amount of funding that comes into Fund 8 from our out-of-county tuition payments. We also receive a rebate from our purchasing card spending. So each of our departments and principals that have a P card, we do receive an annual rebate based on how much we spend. We also put those funds in Fund 8, and we use those for specific purposes at the district level. Like in the past, I think we have used it to refurbish library furniture, or to buy new classroom furniture, or to award someone like a Teacher of the Year with something for their classroom. So typically, that amount of money is not a large amount of money, but we set it aside for specific district initiatives. The other amounts that are collected in that fund are facility rental fees. The majority of the facility rental fees goes towards paying for the custodial service after the event has taken place. Any remaining funding, we kind of keep there in that separate fund so that if we need to replace things like audio equipment or microphones in the performing arts centers, we have some funding to do that. Since that equipment is used by the public when they rent the facility, we do have wear and tear on it, so we set that money aside for that as well. But the part that is on the amendment at the top, that is for supplies and materials, is made up of both the out-of-county tuition payments and the P-card rebates from the last 3 years. So that's why that amount is roughly around $60,000.
Right, because, when somebody looks
Yeah.
at that, they might think, we're asking for supply,
Right.
we're asking for supplies, we've got stuff to bus, and then
Right.
you've got this massive carryover, which is why I wanted you to explain that so
Right.
much.
Okay. Any other questions about that?
Just the point that I believe the Fund 8 is not shared money with the charter schools.
That's correct,
which
because
is very
generally,
important because it's very targeted to
Right.
things that we're doing in our system, and money's coming in to support that.
right,
So it really wouldn't be appropriate for that to be shared money.
right, in other funds. It's restricted for a specific purpose. Yes.
Thank you very
Yep,
much.
sure thing.
Thank you, and we
Thank
need
you.
to add this back to the consent agenda. All right? At this time, I ask that I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second?
It has been moved and second that we approve the consent agenda. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Ms. Clark, are there any citizen, am I going too fast?
Oh, no.
I'm good?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Requesting,
I was laughing. I was pleasantly smiling how quickly it was going.
oh, okay, to discuss any public input tonight.
Yes, ma'am, there are 6 people. Just a reminder that each person has no more than 5 minutes. First person is Michelle Epps.
Good evening, I'm Michelle Epps. I live in downtown New Bern. I'm here tonight, first off, to commend the board for its vote on Tuesday to discontinue with the external vendor-provided Making Proud Choices curriculum. There is a movement in this nation to bring our schools back to teaching a basic education under local control. And one of the big problems with that Making Proud Choices curriculum helps to illustrate why. There are 2 objectives to that program for which our own talented and dedicated students will now be developing the curriculum. One of those objectives is, quote, to evaluate abstinence from sexual intercourse as a positive choice for young people. Now, if we had instead continued with the Making Proud Choices program, that curriculum would have come from an external vendor by the name of ETR, whose chairman of the board of directors is Dr. Leslie Cantor of Rutgers. Cantor's own current academic biography, which I pulled up and read this morning, says that she has been very involved in trying to ensure that U.S. funding related to teen pregnancy and STD prevention, quote, does not revert to supporting abstinence only until marriage programs, which have little evidence to suggest that they change behavior and are particularly damaging for some groups of young people, including LGBTQ youth, sexually active youth, and youth with a history of sexual abuse. Now, it is beyond my comprehension how someone with those views can even be considered an expert in developing a curriculum to teach our children how, quote, to evaluate abstinence from sexual intercourse as a positive choice for young people. Local control of education has been consistently diminishing over the course of my lifetime. Another example of problems that can occur when we outsource our children's education for reasons of convenience or decreased cost requires that I relate a short story. Sorry, I'm an old lady, I have to do this at least once. When my older siblings and cousins attended the one-room schoolhouse in which my parents had first met, my grandmother was their only teacher and principal. Most of the students were related to one another, and all decisions were made at the local level, most of them by my grandmother. By the time I graduated from a big school system like Craven's, we had many teachers and a variety of administrators and staff, but it was still a localized world in which familiar local faces, like our DARE officers that were here earlier, They're the ones that directed our lives, and our friends' parents were the ones driving our school buses. Today, those very school buses in that same school are contracted from a company a county away. So now random and ever-changing strangers drive those buses. As you might imagine, there have been a number of problems with both lost drivers and lost children, such as my elementary-aged niece, who was once left at a high school across town by the bus driver who had no idea who she was or where she belonged for more than an hour until her parents could locate her. Now, this is a young child. She didn't have a phone, okay? I know that I, for one, as a teacher, always preferred to design my own curriculum when given the chance. And if the school could have directed a bit more money to me for resources or my effort, I would have greatly appreciated it and spent most of it in my local community. I did my work anyway, whatever was needed as long as it took, as I'm sure our teachers probably end up doing too. It's common sense that no one knows our children better than we do, and it's our civic and moral duty to stay on top of their education, safety, and health ourselves, even when it's inconvenient, and especially when it is uncomfortable. That's why I was a bit surprised that the board's annual health report, presented on Tuesday, though heavy with data, did not include anything about COVID, which surely has had to have been one of the worst crises to ever hit our schools and has sidelined our students for almost 3 years now, disrupting their learning and physical and mental health along the way. Can't imagine what it's like for those third graders you guys were talking about on Tuesday. I was also dismayed to learn that although the nurses will no longer be using the discontinued COVID toolkits, they will still be relying on unelected expert strangers in another state at the CDC to guide their work. Now, I would like to close by reading an excerpt from a story pulled from yesterday's headlines. This one, it was all over the news, but this one, it comes from CNN News. The headline, CDC announces sweeping reorganization aimed at changing the agency's culture and restoring public trust. The changes will be aimed at improving the culture and restoring public trust after the agency's acknowledged missteps in its response to COVID-19 pandemic. The new marching orders come after significant stumbles at the agency in response to the COVID pandemic. The U.S. had little capacity to test for infection during the early months of the pandemic, largely because the agency released flawed tests to public health laboratories. It goes on and ends with the director saying for 75 years, CDC and public health have been preparing for COVID-19, and in our big moment, our performance did not meet expectations. The days for trusting expert strangers.
When we say time is up, you have to stop and get someone, because we don't have 30 minutes, you have taken up someone else's time. We appreciate your input, but when we say time is up, time is up. Thank you.
I appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you.
Next person is Steve Skiffington.
Good evening. I want to speak to a decision the board made about Proud Choices. But before we do that, kudos to your nutrition staff. I was impressed. I grew up in the 50s and 60s and had a plastic tray when we went down. And you guys, it's practically a 4-star restaurant out there, so kudos. It's not easy being on a school board, and I've been on one, but I'm a retired teacher for 30 years, and I understand how that works. As a member of the public, I was dismayed that apparently you have made a move to dismantle the Proud Choices. The previous speaker talked about strangers. They're just people we haven't met yet. We are in this together, whether you're in this town, this county, our state, or the nation. When we educate children, we have to get them as ready as possible for the world they're going to live in. That includes having information, because the young people and the hormones are going to kick in, if they haven't already, on sexuality and on things that could kill them, such as STDs. Anytime you take a program that has been professionally developed by medical people and then want a PE teacher to teach it, that's not their background. That's not a slam to PE teachers, but you need to educate that child and protect them, because what I see is the decision you made could lead children to not having the information that may very well save their lives. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next person is Neil Hudson.
Good evening.
Good evening.
As a parent of a ninth grader, I am disappointed, concerned, and worried. I'm disappointed in the board's vote to eliminate the Making Proud Choices class. My ninth grader is currently scheduled to have health and PE first period of first semester. I was going to opt my child into Ms. Hunter's class. The opt-in change that you made in June was a reasonable compromise. But no, that compromise wasn't good enough for some. And now, because of a months-long attack by certain community members, the Making Proud Choices class has been eliminated. My rights as a parent to choose have now been upended. I'm concerned that our educators' voices are not being valued. Our principals supported Making Proud Choices, and yet the vote was taken to eliminate the class. Now our health and PE teachers must quickly pull together a sex ed health course for our students. Will our teachers do a great job at this? Yes. Should they have to do this? No. We had an expert in Ms. Hunter. Women in this country are more likely to die of pregnancy-related deaths than women in other parts of the developed world. And our Black and brown women have a higher maternal mortality rate than white women. Health and sex education is of life and death importance, and to give up that chance to have it taught by an expert is concerning. There are members in our community that want sex education to be eliminated from the curriculum. Will these people go after our health teachers next? That's what I'm worried about. Where is this going to end? How many teachers are already nervous and are looking at modifying the curriculum so as to not upset certain community groups and parties? Which subject matter is next? Are people going to be upset when our teachers teach about redlining, the Voting Rights Act of 1965, the Stonewall Uprising, Roe v. Wade, or evolution? Our students deserve better. Our teachers and administrators deserve better. Ms. Hunter's class should have been allowed to remain. It seems each generation deals with this what to teach in public schools argument. Please learn from the past and do better for our future.
Thank you.
Next person is Ruth Cooper.
Hello, members of the board and everybody else. I'm an RN who moved here from Cincinnati in December with my husband and dog. I got my BS in nursing in 1984 and was certified as a school nurse. I was a pediatric nurse for 12 years and a hospice nurse for 10. Then I got my master's in nursing education and taught at Xavier in Mount St. Joe. Also at my church and other churches across the country, there's a program called Our Whole Lives, which is a lifespan sexuality education program. While the family is primarily responsible for teaching students how to make safe, healthy relationships and good decisions, not every family has the knowledge, interest, or ability to do this when it comes to sexuality education. I really, Googled Making Proud Choices, and it sounds like a fine program to me because nothing shows that abstinence only prevents pregnancies, teen pregnancies. The places that teach abstinence only have higher teen pregnancy rates, higher STI rates than other places. I really don't understand why, when this was a program that parents could opt into, that it was dismantled. To me, it just means that in the future there will be more teen pregnancies in Craven County. There will be more sexually transmitted infections. We have Ms. Hunter here and her expertise that this was something that was, looks to me like already in progress, and there was, I think, recently a change made that families could opt out of it. Was that right? Opt into it. So if you were not even going to be into it unless your parents opted in, why dismantle it? I mean, it just, I don't understand it at all, but then that's my opinion. But everything that I've known from courses I've taken about sexuality education, that it's like you need to teach children from a young age what their values are, what their parents' values are, how to protect themselves and stay healthy, from hand washing, getting enough sleep, eating healthy, to practicing safe sex, if that's what their values lead them to choose to do. And only by a comprehensive sexuality education program do teenagers have the information they need to make good, healthy choices. In Ohio, the state health department has co-sponsored with Equitas Health to give out free condoms to anyone 16 or over. If you go online and request them, they'll send you 25 a month. And this is to prevent STDs and teen pregnancies. In Cincinnati, childhood poverty is 53%. I volunteered at a school that had, kids, 100% of the kids there got free lunches, breakfast, and food to take home. I mean, teen pregnancy rates are horrible. And I mentored a young girl who's at 11. Her teachers thought she might get pregnant that summer because she wrote about having sex with a boy. She did not get pregnant, neither did her younger cousins, because I worked with them religiously about, making good choices and staying in school and not having sex. But anyway, I don't understand why, since this was an opt-in program, it was dismantled. Just, to me, it's only going to hurt the kids who are going to maybe get pregnant or get STDs. Any questions? Okay.
Thank you. Next person would be Michaela Moore.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Michaela Moore. I am a rising 10th grader at New Bern High School, and I actually took Miss Jeevy's class my 9th grade year, which is last semester. And personally, I enjoyed the class. I thought it was very informational, and the way she taught it was very good, like really good. I was very involved. She let the kids be involved, and we didn't just talk about, having sex, STDs. We talked about relationships, consent, sexual assault, things that need to be talked about that kids don't know. I know from me being a kid that I have a lot of friends who think the pull-out method is a good method, and she talks about how, STDs can kill you. And a lot of kids were shocked at that, and I know that personally some of the things that she talked about I didn't even know about, and it was very opening to my eyes. And she's a great person. She allowed us to talk to her after, the class ended, like she was never off duty pretty much. And I am of course a black woman, and I am also queer, and she never says how can I put this? She never says that having sex is the right thing to do. She always says that it's up to the children, and most of the kids are having sex, and they need to know how to be protected personally, and I thought the program was a great idea. I know that some people had problems with it, and with the opting into the class, I thought was a good idea, because if parents think that their child needs the education, they should be willing to have the education. When I did the program, I don't think that there was an opt-in. I think that everybody just took it, and I don't think that she's a stranger. At first I was a little iffy. I was like, I don't know. But then after I got to know her, and she talked about herself and the things that she's done, and I talked to her after class, I really think she's a great person and a great teacher. And also about the stranger thing, our health teacher is present in the class when we are teaching it, and yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to note that Michaela is an amazing student, leader.
You didn't sign up.
I am, okay.
I'll
say it wasn't.
Next person will be Genevieve Hunter.
That's her.
Genevieve
Yeah,
Hunter.
that's her. She was just up there. Genevieve Hunter or GB.
Ms. Hunter, thank you.
You're welcome. I've met y'all before. What I wanted to say about Michaela is that she's an amazing student, and she was a leader in our class, helping students that were dealing with very emotional issues on TikTok, and that is something that we talk about in our classes. But I just want to commend her and also say that she was at Stanford this summer doing amazing things. And I thank her and her mother for being here tonight. So, good morning, Chairwoman Boomer, Board of Ed members, Dr. Miller, parents, students, and community members. My name is Genevieve Hunter, and I work for Duke University. The program that you're all hearing about is the one that I have worked on for many years, and I've been in this county for 11 years, serving youth. I've taught sexual health programs for over 25 years, and I oversee and teach the actual program, which is a CDC best practice evidence-based curriculum developed by my professors at University of Pennsylvania. It includes abstinence always. It's just not abstinence only. So I just want to make that notation that we always talk about abstinence, and we also talk about condoms, and we talk about birth control methods, and we talk about how do young people make decisions and talking to their parents about those things. So I'll get to that in a minute. The reason that I have worked on grants to serve this community for the past 11 years is because I care deeply about the young people in this community. When I teach students, I ask them to think critically, and I give them age-appropriate, medically accurate, and scientific information as required by the North Carolina Health Standard. I ask them to start conversations with their parents and their guardians and to reflect on their values, their personal, family, cultural, and faith values. Above all, I ask them to be respectful. While I speak tonight, I would like to ask for all of us to think about how we can work together and think about what is actually best for the students, as many have already said. After all, we do what we do for the students. I'm looking at my time here. So before we started the program, I just wanted to note the reason why we have this program in Craven County is because Craven County has one of the highest teen pregnancy rates in the state. We were number 12 in 2011. Since we've been here for 11 years, that number has been cut in half. When I heard y'all talking on Tuesday, no one mentioned that this is a funded teen pregnancy prevention program for Craven County. I have a contract with NCDHHS to give this program to the community. And I've worked with the schools for 11 years. I've worked with Dr. Diggs. I've had total transparency. I know that some people feel that there wasn't transparency, but everything that we've talked about was posted and talked about in the March work session with Dr. Diggs. So I would like to ask each member of the board, with exception of Mr. IPOC, who voted to keep the program, thank you, to think about your reasoning in voting not to allow our program. As I said, we had some concerns, we addressed them, we changed the condom demonstration, we changed wording, we made sure that folks know that when people talk about negotiating, it's not negotiating consent. That's been a very misinterpreted thing that's been going on. Consent is always no means no, and now has become you must have a yes, always. So that myth that surrounded this program that has been, keeps percolating is not true. A few months ago, the board decided to make this program opt-in, which I think was a good thing for parents so that they could decide. Before, they could opt their child out, now they had to opt in. That's a great compromise. So what I would like to ask, why did everyone vote, except Mr. IPOC, to remove this program 2 weeks before school starts when we have the money already in place and you asked for more money, which I understand your reasoning, but we spend $300 on each student in Craven County. So please think about this issue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, that's our last speaker.
Thank you. At this time, we will recess for a 10-minute break.
Hit the gavel.
Well, we are, and it was going to the well.
I call this meeting of Craven County Board of Education back to order, please. Okay. So at this time, I'm asking the board member, any board member who has anything they would like to say in reference to the public input tonight.
Madam Chairman.
I want, and I just want to discuss, the decision that was made on the making proud choices. Me, for one, personally, I was the one that made the motion for it to be opt-in, and I personally feel that should have been satisfactory to everybody. But it continued on, continued on. Now, I will say this, as we come to these meetings every month, I'm gonna implore the community. We have a few members here, I won't name by name, without looking eyes, that always comes out and they stand on their side of issues. And on this issue, I sit here to represent an entire community, not my personal feelings. And I believe that's what any person that's elected or selected to sit here should do. They should be able to remove themselves somewhat and listen to the voices of those that they represent. In this situation, there were no voices that represented my personal beliefs on the situation. Now, I'm proud to make what I say my personal belief was to leave it in school and let it be opt-in. But because I did not hear any voices speaking as loudly as I heard voices that was against it, I had to ask myself, am I agreeing with this side of this issue because it's my personal belief and one or two people that I know? And is there more people that do not want it in our schools than that does? So I guess what I'm saying now is to everybody that's listening, people, we have to speak up and represent our convictions on issues when they are on the table. And we cannot wait until decisions are made by people that's in place to represent you if they do not know that they're representing you until after the fact. I want to know before the fact. And whether I'm sitting here after November or not, that's how I will operate every time. I'm going to try to err on the side of the community and not what I just want for myself. Now, moving forward, I hate that so many people now, after the fact, has come out. I've received several emails, a few phone calls. Why did you all do that? And I'm like, wow, I would have loved to hear all of this for all these weeks up to now. But they were not present. Now, I'm comforted by knowing that even though we made that decision, that I really wasn't. I did vote for it to be gone, but that wasn't really my personal conviction on it. I felt I was representing a larger block than just myself and 2 or 3 people. But I am pleased to know, and it was explained to us, that all the same information will continue to be taught. It will just be an expense on our school system and a tax on our teachers, according to what we were told, unless I was misled. But that's what was explained to us. And if that's not so, I would really like to know that that's not accurate. But we were told that the entire curriculum will still continue to be taught. So in other words, the Craven County school system hasn't lost anything except the program that was funding this entire curriculum. And that's basically what I would like to say on that.
Anyone else?
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chairman, I move that we reinstate Proud Choices as opt-in as had been decided prior to this Tuesday morning meeting. I heard comments about local control. This is local control. When we allow our parents to have the choice to opt in to a program for their students, I don't see how it's our job to take that choice away, especially when we negotiated over a period of 3 months, the wording, the opt-in, and had agreement. When I came Tuesday morning, I did not know that there was going to be a motion to change that program. Our general process, Kim, am I right? Our general process is that we enter things for discussion, we move them forward for further discussion and input.
That's why, I mean, it was on the agenda, the discussion of it was.
The
Yeah.
discussion was.
Yeah.
Mr. Gatchell.
First, if it's proper to have a motion at this point, I'll leave that to the chair to determine. If it is proper, you need to see it there as a second.
Oh,
What's that?
The motion's been made.
Well, I support you with a second. I'll second your motion.
It has been moved and second
Our
that the
discussion.
prior choice, it has been moved and second that the prior choice be reinstated. Now we're open for discussion.
Finish your point. That's
Okay.
why I didn't want to table, because I wanted to finish hearing what you were saying.
Thank you. Our process has been for quite some time established by lessons learned, making decisions without the public being fully informed that we were getting ready to make a change, a dramatic change. That we have discussion, we enter ideas at this table, and then there's a time for the public to have some input. So that the public came tonight in response to our decision was, in my mind, out of order. That we should have moved it forward and allowed for input. The fact that 2 of our 3 high school principals who closely supervise what's going on in their schools support it outright. The third had no preference, was not opposed to it at all, but just did not say they supported it outright. It's an established program under Duke University. Forgive me for giving accolades to Duke, but being a Tar Heel, that's a little bit hard. But
Well, this Methodist will forgive you.
I looked closely at the alignment. It was very important to us that the alignment was there with standard course of study, that we weren't going beyond that. And in my mind, having an outside expert speak to it the same in multiple venues so that the message is clear and consistent allows for us to have that control that we need. Those are the reasons that I would choose to reinstate it as opt-in, just as we had previously discussed.
And I have as much respect for you as a human being can have for another, and you know that. And for me, it's difficult because it's just difficult. But what it came down to for me is I do feel like we followed our process in many ways. It was on the agenda. I called and asked what it was on the agenda for, and then we have been talking about it month after month after month. So, and I do think we've had input from both sides. And I hope that the people who are disappointed in me right now understand that we might agree on 100 things tomorrow. This is one item. And what it came down to for me is that our community is diverse, and you have to listen to all of them. And for me, knowing that the standard course of study is going to be taught in its entirety, and that we care enough about it as a system to own that ourselves, to make sure that the resources that are provided are resources that our folks have laid eyes on and that our folks can support and that our folks can get behind. I'm not saying there was anything wrong with the Duke program, but clearly it was offensive to parts of it, were offensive to some. Might not be offensive to me. But the standard course of study still includes accepting people who are different than us, still includes those discussions about that our kids have to have. And I think the thing that is so frustrating as an elected official, but also as just a human being right now, is that you can't talk about anything without making somebody angry. And that's why so much of our social and emotional things that will also set off flares start with teaching kids that no matter what choice you make in any arena of your life, you are valued and loved in this school system. And our folks, I trust above anybody else to deliver that message and deliver it in a way that I think everybody will be able to live with. So for me, it's a tough win-win. We're still going to deliver what the kids need. We're still going to deliver every piece of that standard course of study. I trust our folks to make sure that those standards are delivered in a way that fills a room with as much compassion as she clearly expresses in her classrooms. And I think that in some ways for me, the decision was, it's that important to me that I want to make sure we get it right. And I want to make sure that, that we can live with it. And the only way to do that is to really be hands-on in it. I know it's easier to outsource it. It's easier to outsource, well, we all know, we just talked about takeout food, right, for how long? It's easier to outsource cooking dinner. My husband would tell you that's my greatest gift, is to outsource cooking dinner. But what our kids are facing is tough, and I do trust our folks. And so with the sincere, most respect for you, I just think that in this particular case, it is better for us to own it ourselves. And that's why, as disappointing as it is for some people, to have me make that decision, knowing how I feel about all of those things, about how proud I was of that young woman to stand up here and say that she's queer in a room full of people that she knows half of them might judge her. For her to do that, and everybody knows, if you know me at all, you know how I feel. So that was not a vote against anything in the standard course of study. It was a vote against, I think it's that important, and if that many people are upset, we can do it better, and I think our folks can do it better.
Any more discussion? Are you ready for the vote? Ms. Clark, I'm sorry.
I just want to add, been wrestling with this since we initially said parents must opt in. And I vacillated after I heard our attorney advise us that standard course of study does provide for this particular lesson. My concern is that some folk think perhaps that all they have to do is raise their voices. All they have to do is raise their voices, and we're going to change our minds, and that just is not the case. With regard to us doing our best, I'm going to stick with my vote, but my hesitancy, as competent as we are, is that I don't think PE teachers should be teaching this. I think it would be better suited for our ends, our nurses, perhaps to be teaching this.
With that being said, how many teachers teach this program?
At each school?
Right. And what are the qualifications of the teachers that teach it versus the ones that would be teaching it if it came back to Craven County's teachers to do it?
That'd be something left to Dr. Miller, but it's clearly a difference between a PE teacher and no castigation of them and a licensed medical professional. Did you want to respond, Dr. Miller?
I can respond to that. On teacher licensure, there's a PE certification, but there's also a health certification that requires that you also pass that praxis and participate in that coursework that sometimes is very extensive. But it's not just a PE teacher, just for clarity. The folks have help also on their teaching license if they teach the subject.
But you agree that there's a difference between someone who has health certification as opposed to an RN?
Well, absolutely, because an RN practices the art of medicine, where a teacher would be teaching a health curriculum.
So are you saying that whether it's with us or with the granted program, a person with a health endorsement on their license will be teaching the class, not just the PE.
We require those, and Dr. Boone can speak to that as well, our folks that are teaching the health curriculum to also have health as a part of their teaching license.
But see, we're a little bit further inconsistent. On the one hand, and I'm glad we did, we adhered to the teachers, and we were so proud that they had input. And I'm culpable in this instance too, because we noted that 2 of our principals said, we want this program to stay. So we can't have it both ways. Either we're going to listen or hear all our stakeholders or none.
The problem is that there's 2 different sets of stakeholders here. You have parents and community, and then you have principals, and they're all stakeholders.
But I don't see the difference.
Well, there is. Well,
we had 2 principals say, we want this program to remain. Sidebars, respectfully, we had 2 principals who said, keep this program. And again, I'm culpable too.
I know, we all are.
Because I didn't listen to them. But again, and they're not mutually exclusive, we had this long presentation and got input from teachers, and well, we should, because teachers are valued. And we said, okay, we're going to allow folk to deliver food or to have food delivered under these particular circumstances.
well, you're right, and we have that decision-making model back there that we have strayed away from, that's sitting right behind our heads. And if we would follow it, you're exactly right. If you would follow it, we would stay out of a mess half the time that we step into so easily. That doesn't change how I feel about the topic, but it would have probably made the decision more understandable to the public and less messy, and meet Mr. Ipoc's, valid point of our processes. We've gotten sloppy on our processes. I think we can all own that. And we do have it hanging right back there. It's right back there. We just have to keep reminding each other to look.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I'd like one final copy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. The thing I'm struggling with is it's the option to opt in. So by changing the program in the way we did, we've denied all the parents that would choose to opt in for their students that option.
So
And
that is a
to
good
me
question.
is local control.
Well, I would say, if we change it and our teachers teach it, are they still opting in? So they're not opting in if, I see Dr. Diggs. So with our change and our teachers teaching it, the opt-in would go away and every child would be in it and they would opt out? How is this? I see you guys nodding your head.
It's part of the curriculum that they're
Right.
taught. What they opted into was the program, not the
Right.
curriculum.
So every student will have what is in the standard course of study.
Correct.
Okay.
So that's with or without the program. So what did the program offer? When the program existed, did it take the entire course? When the program existed, did it take the entire course?
It's
It never took the entire course. It's 15 lessons, and I want to be sure I got that right. So it's about 3 weeks, but a total of 15 lessons. So it's a part of their health class. The what is our curriculum? Our standard course is, the what is our standard course of study given to us by the state? The curriculum is the how, and we were using Making Proud Choices as the how it was being taught. Without Making Proud Choices or anything else, any other resources, then the teachers decide the how. Wherever they gather the resources from, or if it's another resource that we provide, then they determine what that how looks like. But the standards from the state, the standard course of study, is the what. So the what would stay the same.
I understand. I'm thinking. I don't want to vote right this second though. So I hope, please don't just say let's vote and put it on the table.
Call the question.
Our teacher, you hear me say something?
I have a question.
Please ask it.
As you know, teacher input is very important. So when you talk about the principals that opted in, the teachers that are going to be teaching this or be present, one of the questions I have was their input taken into account? Because I know from a teacher, I cannot speak to this curriculum nor high school, but I do know when I am uncomfortable with curriculum or I'm unfamiliar, I don't deliver it as well.
And it sounds like if they're still getting the same thing and it's an opt-in, my question is, were the teachers, did they provide input to the principals when the principals gave this feedback? Because ultimately, they are the ones that are going to be in charge, correct? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, at Newbern High School and at Havelock High School this past year, they did get input from their health teachers. Before Mr. Lee at West Craven High School decided to choose to do it for the coming school year, he spoke with his health teachers and they were on board. So any health teacher that did not want to do it, they were going to teach it themselves. And there was one teacher at Newbern High School second semester who was not a part of it, if I have that right, Ms. GV. She was the one who was there, so I want to be sure I had the numbers correct. So they did have a choice even within their building. So there were, at the time, there were teachers who were using the program and Ms. GV came in, and then there was a teacher who taught it himself in his classroom.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Reverend Manning?
I would just add a few things that, so when we were in our discussion the other day, and even in our June deliberations, we talked about the vetting process of this. And so some of that's come up here again tonight in an indirect way of looking at the what. This is a curriculum. And so then we've heard public input from all sides. And then, so not only do you have a curriculum that maybe even stands in question of the vetting, but then also we have a third party that's coming in. So yes, we're talking about a curriculum, but we're also talking about a third party coming in and the delivery of that. And so I think that's kind of where things get messy, is we want to have curriculum that empowers our teachers, but then we took it out of their hands that aligns with the North Carolina Standard Course of Study, and then we've given that to somebody else. So, to me, I believe our teachers, our educators, are well qualified in delivering what the North Carolina Standard Course of Study says should be taught.
If I could make a comment. Has this been 11 years that we've been doing this?
We've had various programs. We've had teen outreach.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
That was on me. I should not have asked you. I did want to make sure that when I said 11 years, that there's no mistake in this room that anybody has any idea that this is something new or brought in from outside recently.
Clarification, though, we have not done this for 11 years.
That's right.
That part, the method.
Dr. Diggs?
Dr. Yeah.
The method is different.
There have been different curriculums used to teach the same standards. So they were using and this was before me, they were using a different program and then making Proud Choices since 2000. And I keep looking at her because I don't have this right here with me. Right before the pandemic was when they adopted Making Proud Choices as the one they were going to use. And just like when we adopt a different curriculum to teach our standards, they did the same thing with this. Does that make sense?
Let me ask you something, Dr.
We had the
Diggs.
program, but we did not have Proud Choice for 11 years.
Right, they were using a different curriculum
Right, it was
to
not
teach
Proud Choice
those
for
same
11
standards.
years.
Yes, ma'am.
And prior to that time, we had not had any problem with parents or
I
stakeholders.
wasn't here, so I don't know.
We were not, I've been there for 16 years, and this past year was the first time. Ms. Smith, have you had any problems since?
Yes, but in fairness, yes, I haven't either, but in fairness, Proud Choices was taught in Havelock, and to my knowledge, not one parent complained, one expressed concerns, and they were eliminated and they finished the program. But, so for me, it is not, I'm not feeling great about anything, but I am feeling that this is a solution that is as much a win-win as we can have.
Dr. Diggs, you said that it's 15. We have a North Carolina course standard that's going to be taught. Then we have the 15 session curriculum from Proud Choices. That's two things. So if Proud Choices is removed, are those 15 courses or classes going to still be taught?
They're actually the same thing. So those standards within our health curriculum from the Standard Course of Study, instead of when they're being taught, we were using Making Proud Choices to teach those. So it's not those and then Making Proud Choices. Making Proud Choices was the curriculum used to teach those standards. So
Exact same standards.
yes, that's what we went over in March. when we compare
So,
those.
so is it safe to assume that nothing's gonna change except the expense to our district?
It's the how that is being taught.
And what's the problem with the how?
I'm not saying there is a problem.
Well, what,
So
what,
that was what you guys are discussing, so
how will we teach it different then? Let me say that. If that program is removed, which is the how, then how are we gonna teach it?
we would have to have help teachers here to tell you that. I don't want to speak for them, and I have not been in their classrooms to tell you exactly how that will look when they're doing it.
Well,
But what I can tell you is that how will cover those same standards. But I can't tell you what that will look like.
Okay.
Who's going to monitor it with fidelity to ensure that the pedagogy is being followed?
That is the job of our school administrators.
So who will monitor the principals?
On a daily basis, no one monitors them on a daily basis, but our job is to make sure the principals are doing their jobs, but to make sure, and we have to take their word, their professional judgment that's happening. So when we're saying who's going to monitor the principals to make sure that they're monitoring every single teacher, we have our evaluations, we go and observe, we do our walkthroughs, but we can't be in all of them at the same time.
Don't
on every
expect
single
you to
day.
be there every day, but I'm thinking that there should be some sort of accountability, no matter what subject is being taught, whether it's history, social studies, English, or proud choices, or health education.
Oh, I agree, but like I said, we have to trust our principals on a day-to-day basis to do that, along with the assistant principals to monitor what's going on in the classrooms.
Except in this case. Because our
Touche.
principals told us, and then we went in a different.
I don't know how it works, but this seems to be like a very important topic to many people. I mean, I remember high school, like they were saying, kids. I don't know about you all. Kids were having sex. I didn't know many that were, and I graduated in '91, so I don't think it's any different now. So I don't know about what's so shocking and what could be taught in this class to children. Me personally, I didn't seclude my daughter from anything, and she's a wonderful lady today, very successful. And I opened the gate so she would know and could experience, not experience sexually, but be exposed to all the good, bad, and ugly that this life is going to have to offer. Now she lives in Washington, D.C. on her own, and she's preparing for all of that. And I think it has a lot to do with how much I trusted her and this world, and for her to navigate herself through it. With that being said, it's a lot of questions. Even though the way I voted the other day, I'll be the first to say, and people might say, well, as a board member, you should have been more to your own guns. I didn't really want to vote the way I voted the other day. I just went along with this board because I saw I didn't have the votes. And I'll say that if that's the nail in my coffin in November, so be it. I could stand under whatever I say and do. But I will say today, right this second, I'm not comfortable voting again because I have more questions now. This has only opened another can of worms for me because I spoke with a board member, I'm not going to call names, and there was some things that they saw in the curriculum that I didn't see because I did look at it, but not, I guess, in completion as I should have. And a board member saw some things, and I'm like, wow, for real? So there's some things that I would like to take another look at. And me, myself, I don't know how you all feel, but I'm a busy person. If you all didn't notice it, I walked in here sweaty because I had just got out of cemetery to make it to this meeting 2 minutes before it started. But I'm willing to have a special call meeting for this item only after we can get some more information.
There's
So
a
I can
motion
feel
on the floor.
confident to vote.
And seconded.
It has been seconded. The motion's already on the floor. Am I not right, Mr. Gato? So we need to vote, right?
At some point, somebody may call the question.
Wow.
Call the question.
Well, what I would like to say after she's called the question and we'll vote, but what I want to say to anybody who doesn't go their way, whatever we do here, is that we are a continuous improvement system. If we move forward in either way, that doesn't mean that we can't review it and we can't but you can change it the next semester if we look at it and we have made a mistake. If you can't own your mistake, then you don't need to be sitting in a chair, because Lord knows if you sit here for more than 1 month, you're going to make a mistake. So whatever, to make everyone's hearts be able to leave and be able to work together, whatever happens, doesn't mean that we don't continue to PDSA. That's who we are. That's who we are.
Okay. Any more discussion? Are you ready for the voting? Obviously, Dr. Mill, we need a roll call vote.
And could I get some clarity so the board is clear what they're voting on?
We are voting to reinstate Proud Choice. That was the.
As an option?
As opt-in, as we had previously approved prior to Tuesday morning.
Okay. Making Proud Choices reinstated as an opt-in program. Ms. Frances Boomer?
No.
Ms. Naomi Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Victor Dove?
I'm gonna wear the wishy-washy hat today, and I'm gonna say, I vote yes to reinstate it. Opt-in only.
That's the motion. Mr. Carl Apop?
Yes.
Mr. Brent Manning?
No.
Ms. Kelly Muse is not here. Ms. Kimberly Smith?
No.
3 and 3. Motion fails for lack of a majority.
At this time, Ms. Smith,
What?
we gotta move to the next item of the contract.
No, we have.
Is that, are we gonna do this, the next item is bid.
What is the next item?
Next item is bid.
Did I have a bin item?
There's no bin items.
Okay, she was looking at me like,
Did I?
So at this time, I started off the discussion. I would like to make a motion that we extend Dr. Mills' contract by 1 year.
That's right. That's what I was supposed to do.
Right. Okay. I make a motion that we extend Dr. Mills' contract by 1 year.
Second.
Yeah.
It has been moved and second that we extend Dr. Mills' contract for 1 year. Are you ready for, yes, sir?
Just wanted to be clear, this is, remember, a superintendent's contract can never have more than 4 years. And it only ever has 4 years on July 1st, right? So you are extending the year that it ends to June 30th, is it 2025?
Yes.
25.
Yes.
I don't have it in front of me, so June
25.
30th, 2025, which is not precisely 1 year, right?
Right.
So that's why I just wanted to be
Okay.
clear about that.
Thank you.
Okay. It has been moved and second that we extend Dr. Mills' contract to 2025.
June 30th.
Did I get a second? I
Yeah,
did get a
you
second.
did get a second. It's been moved and second.
All right.
Unanimous
So now we'll
second.
wait for a roll call vote.
Okay.
Yes, sir?
Madam Chair, do we need roll call
I'm
on this?
fine. I don't know.
think-
I think all in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Has been moved and second, and the ayes have it, and her contract is approved. And Dr. Miller, we do think that you are doing a wonderful job. Are you a perfect superintendent? No. Are we a perfect board?
No.
Do we have perfect teachers? No. But we are working together, and at the end of the day, we are on one accord. Realize that whatever decision that we make and whatever we do, it is done to make our children Craven County strong. And that's what we're doing.
Can I make a comment, Chair Boomer?
Yes, sir?
I appreciate the board's faith in me, but I can not accept this without saying I accept it on behalf of the wonderful team that serves along with me, including teachers, custodians, bus drivers. I'm accepting this so that I can continue to serve alongside with the wonderful people in Craven County Schools.
Appreciate that. And at this time, I would like for Ms. Naomi Clark to facilitate a discussion on the board's goal work.
We have scheduled on the 13th of September a retreat, tentatively scheduled right here. And it will start at, I believe, 8, and last until approximately 1.
And it's
Until-
here?
Yes, right here, because we couldn't get the History Center, and this is free, as a matter of fact. We'll work on not just the board survey, but sidebar, but goals as well, our goals as well.
And, we changed it.
The 13th.
We originally, we said 9:00 to accommodate, but one board member's not gonna be here. So we can go back to 9:00, and we can let's stay at 8, if, you know, but we can go back to 9.
I would like to start at 9 then.
Yes, so it will be at 9 and not 8.
And that was September 13th.
Yes, sir.
13th.
It's a Tuesday.
Tuesday the 13th. And at this time, we don't have a closed session, right?
I hope not.
We do have a brief one.
Oh, we do?
We do have a closed session? Okay.
Uh-oh. Do you want to evaluate first and then go, so they can all leave?
And let's do the-
That would be my recommendation, celebrations and
Okay.
evaluations, and then we can have the closed session.
Okay, thank you.
So let's do the celebration first. And then we'll do plus delta. Then we're going closed session.
I want to jump on the opportunity to celebrate our students that came and spoke and told us about their experiences this past summer, and what fantastic students and what a successful program it is.
I'd like to celebrate, I am happy and excited that we did, the committee got together and developed a wonderful plan, a win-win to me. We got safety, and the teachers will also give the opportunity to have their, and they won't do it every day, some of them won't, but they do have the opportunity to do that. And so I celebrate that, so it was difficult.
I want to celebrate the whole thing tonight, honestly, because when you looked around the room, the room was just kind of filled with joy, and the way that policy went and the feedback back from the teachers, that's how it's supposed to work. That's how it's supposed to work. I mean, ideally, we would have done all that before the policy came to us, but that's why we got to look at that more often back there, so that we all get back in the routine of doing that, because then it won't always be so messy. But I think what I am most proud of is the way that we were able to tonight to model for these people in the room and any kids that are watching us how to disagree with respect for each other, and to recognize that we're not in opposition, that we are all here for the same purpose. And it's a good feeling when that happens.
It is.
And so that's something to celebrate.
I have 4, Madam Chair, 4. And I'll try to be brief. I had the pleasure of going to Ramfest, which is basically an orientation for incoming 9th graders. And as proud as I am of Havelock, that's the one I happen to go to. So I'm sure the other high schools are doing it, but kudos to Havelock High and Mrs. Freebo and the staff and the kids, and Dr. Diggs was there. It was just a wonderful affair to see. I also had the pleasure, I'm just a cornucopia of information today, of sitting in with the cabinet. And I sat there the entire time. And it is one of opportunity that I saw. I knew they worked, y'all, but my God, just the information spewing forth, and talk about camaraderie. And remembering that our focus for all of us is just for the kids. So kudos to you. Attaching to that is HR. I'm one of the ones calling up and saying, what are you doing about those lateral entry teachers? Just move it along. We got to have these schools funded. And they're meeting the task. I know they're tired, and they never refuse my calls, even because I guess they know I'm going to come down there anyhow. And then lastly, very important, the 3 students there and Michaela, they are the epitome of excellence, spewed forth, exemplifying public education. Y'all are articulate. All of them looked us in the eye. And just the fact, young lady, that you had courage and continue to be who you are. And again, those 3 kids, and I wish they were here too, but I am a proud parent, a soon-to-be grandmother, former educator, board member, but my goodness, y'all came, showed up, and showed out to use poor grammar. So thank you, and kudos to you all. Thank you.
Because we had a celebration for her too, but we did not know it during the time we were doing recognition. So we can do that. You go for, huh?
Michaela Moore.
Michaela Moore. Would you stand, Michaela? And Victor is going to tell us why we are celebrating you.
She put me on the spot because I don't have the correct information, but we want to celebrate. We want to celebrate you for attending. Come on.
Thank you.
I was a ninth grader when I got invited. So in the mail, I got an invitation to this intensive law program at Stanford. And at first, it was like, I don't know if this is true. And then once we talked to my principal, my counselor, we found out that there are a bunch of New Bern alumni that have went to the intensive law program. So I ended up going the end of June and early July, and it was amazing. I mean, it's people all around the world that went there, and I got to meet so many new people that I love now, and we talk every single day. And while there, we did a mock trial, and my advisor was amazing. Everybody there was amazing. It was very diverse, and my team actually won their prosecution side and our defense side. So that was pretty well. And I was prosecution attorney, and I did the closing statement, but it was amazing, and I was definitely losing.
Awesome. We're sorry that we did not have that information, but we have certainly recognized you tonight, and I will know that Dr. Miller and I will make sure that you also get a certificate. And we're just proud of you. We're so glad that you were still here to share that tonight, because that's what we're all about. When our kids do something great, we want to recognize them for that. And you have done a wonderful and outstanding job, and we're very proud of you. And thank you, Mama, for bringing you here. Thank you. And we appreciate you
We
because
love Craven County school system. It's the best. I have no complaints as a parent. Every school this child has gone to, it has been complete love, care, and cushion on my baby, and all the children. You know, I just love the teachers and everything that Craven County does for the children.
Craven County strong.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you, Shirley. Thank you. Anyone else have celebration? All right, our deltas.
Go into plus deltas, board members, and thinking about your work, what helped you? What would you like to continue? What worked?
It helped to not only follow our ground rules, but to, I don't know, I almost want to say live them. We didn't have to look at the wall to know how to have a difficult discussion. So,
I'm making sure Heather's got this.
yeah.
Okay. What else worked?
As always, I for one, I just love public input. I love to hear what the people have to say, whether I'm in agreement with it or not, whether they're in agreement with me or not. I just love to be able to make sure everyone's included and to hear everyone's point of view.
Any other pluses? What worked?
The students were great.
Any other pluses?
All the celebrations were great.
The new employees. That was a lot to celebrate. I like that.
Absolutely, I forgot that one.
We're praying that we get some more teachers, but it was great to see those new employees tonight, and it looked like they were happy to be here, and we're thankful for that.
Any other pluses?
Our Teacher of the Year's participation in our business.
Any other pluses? In an effort to always improve and get better, the deltas, it would even be better if.
If we use that little chart back there behind behind Dr., behind Ms. Boomer's head.
Decision-making model.
Decision-making model. If we use that and had the data prior and all of that, it would keep us from having to have those difficult conversations so often.
Any other deltas?
Well, I'm going to quote one of my esteemed colleagues and say that it would have been nice if everyone could have been here.
Any other deltas? That's all I have, and other than a short closed session.
Okay, we are, I know the rest of y'all are going home, but we are going to closed session.
It's for personnel.
Thank you guys for coming again, and we will be going to closed session.
I move we go into closed session.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we go into closed session. All in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, we are in closed session. It was, y'all finish up, I can't, I can't come tomorrow because I'm having surgery.
No excuse.
Please make sure you have Brent Manning's email. He's getting left out, like the new teacher orientation.
Yeah, I know what happened. Right, we are back in closed session, we are out of closed session, no actions were taken. And at this time, I need to get a motion to adjourn this meeting.
All in favor? Oh, sorry, ma'am.
Okay, I move we adjourn.
Second?
It has been moved and second that we adjourn this meeting, meeting is adjourned.
Adjourn.
Amen. One more celebration.
Drive
I
home
forgot to
safely,
praise,
everybody.
beginning teacher orientation.
Right, I forgot to do it, I forgot
Yes,
to
me
say
too.
it. She just-
Did you hear me, Dr. Guy?